We're out.
All right, perfect. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's MBAR meeting. Let's begin with public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak to a subject that is not on today's agenda?
Let's see. Good morning. I'm not seeing anyone in the audience and no one online, so no public comment.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to member recusals. Does anybody have any conflicts with any of the items on today's agenda? Okay, thank you, Peanut Gallery. Moving on to the agenda status report.
Let's see. So for item number 4, let's see. 25 BAR, or no, I'm sorry, wrong page. '25 BAR 129, Fresitas Trust Plant Nursery will be continued. The applicant was not ready for the project to be reviewed today.
Okay, in the packet that everybody was sent were the minutes of the January 30th meeting. I'm hoping that you've had a chance to review those. Would you guys like to make any revisions or corrections to those meeting minutes?
I had no changes.
Not seeing anyone rise. All right, then I'll ask for a motion to approve the meeting minutes for January 30th as submitted.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to the North Board of Architecture Review members' informational briefings. Has anybody had any contact with supervisors or staff on any upcoming projects? Okay. We'll move on now to the staff update.
Hi there, Shannon here. So I have 2 updates. The first is that we had a large ordinance package approved by the Board of Supervisors that goes into effect next week, and there are portions of it that impact design review. So Long Range Planning has prepared a training on the portions that are relevant to the BARs, and they have recorded a training, and I'm going to work with Teresa to get all of you the link to that training so that you can see that presentation by Long Range Planning and understand the changes that have occurred. You know, it's about the track changes document just for sections of the ordinance that were revised is over 450 pages long. So I can't give you a quick summary today, but you know, it did change. It formalized that you couldn't appeal design review preliminary approval, final approval if preliminary approval, like there were no changes between the two. And it did a couple other things as well. But stay tuned for that link so that you can review it. And then if you have additional questions, let Teresa and I know, and we can direct them to Long Range Planning. And then the other update is you had asked about the Zakor patio project and associated landscaping. So I looked into that, and there was actually a landscaping plan approved that was reviewed and approved by NBAR, but they haven't installed the landscaping yet, and the project's not finished. So once the construction is complete and they're not going to have, you know, contractors and such in the areas where they're going to put these plantings in, they'll be installing the landscaping. So I just wanted to give a quick update on that, and our staff has the case open and is tracking that to make sure that it is installed.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the first item on today's agenda. AR 240044, the Verizon at DeWolf Avenue. Shannon, has that gone and has it been approved by the Board of Supervisors?
Yes, I don't see Kathleen on, but I believe yeah, final approval on consent. Yes, it was already approved by the planning commission, it looks like.
Okay,
Let's see what the memo says. I wouldn't be here for final on consent if it hadn't already gone to the planning commission.
all right, I just want to double check on that. Armando, you available?
Good morning. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. We've gone through this project, in the last review items we had, and we looked at were just the elevated platforms and, you know, what's going to be underneath. Is there any screening? I think we've come to a point now where we can just approve this and you guys can be off. Is there anyone in the audience that have comment on this particular project?
We do not have any public comment on this.
Then, having reviewed this several times and found it to be complete, do you guys on the board have any other final comments or we make a motion to approve this?
Wasn't there a question last time about having some construction details or something why we couldn't approve it for final, and that's why it was going to come back on consent? Because we did look at this last month.
Right. I don't think that was the case.
And I think what they had done is elevated a certain portion of it because of the flood control concerns.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was completely illustrated in the documents.
Well, I think one of the things we asked for was screening on the
Maybe that was
lower portion of it,
right.
but because of the critters and stuff that needed to pass through there,
Right.
they kept it open.
So I'm assuming that's been done. So
Armando, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think we're good at this time. Thank you.
So with that said, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve this particular project.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Armando.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All righty, guys. Moving on to item number 2, BR 23-00183, Versina Encita Childcare. Frank? If you want to introduce yourself for the record and begin your presentation.
Frank Thompson. I'm the-
Give me a second. Can you press the button to unmute it? There you go.
Okay, thank you. Frank Thompson, yes, I'm the applicant for the project. I think we've been here a few times and benefited from your comments.
Give a little more volume. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. That's better, huh?
think-
All right, and I'll be assisted today with Pablo Romero, and I think also Guillermo is here. He can, the landscape architect. So if you want, then Pablo, do you want to give an introduction?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah, my name is Pablo Romero. I'm representing RJC Inc., the architect for the project. On the last session, we were asked to address the murals. We recommended some murals be installed in the two main facades of the building. And we had originally picked up some generic imagery, stock images. So we were asked about, that and how if that was going to be the permanent imagery or not. And so since then, we've reached out to a local artist, Jose Bustos. He's a Lompoc resident, young artist, and we've worked with him, and he's developed a preliminary design of the murals, and we've incorporated these into our drawings. So that's one of the things we're going to be presenting you with. And also Guillermo Gonzalez, our landscape architect, will also be presenting his part of the design. So with that, I would like just to jump, unless you want us to do a more thorough presentation of this, I would like to jump to sheet 16, which is the elevations. Thank you so much. So as you see, we haven't modified anything relative to our elevations other than bringing up the imagery that Jose has generated. And maybe we go to the next slide. I'm sorry, to the next sheet, where we have a larger view of those entry points. So these are now, at this point, originals that have been, as I said, incorporated. The theme is very jovial, and talks about bookworm and some other themes relative to the heart of the trees, going into this theme of reading and what have you. So this has been the interpretation that our local artist has generated, and how we've incorporated it into the design. So again, basically it's the same concept architecturally speaking. We didn't modify anything in our architectural language. We basically just incorporated the murals from Mr. Bustos. That is what we have today to discuss from our end. Of course, we will be open to discuss any other items that the board might have. And with this, Guillermo, I guess the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pablo. Good morning. My name is Guillermo Gonzalez. I'm Blue Studio, the landscape architect for the project. As Pablo mentioned it, we received preliminary approval back in November, and were asked to come back with a planting plan, irrigation, and details. So if we can move to the planting plan. That would be the hardscape. We only providing hardscape for the play area and play details. So we have the irrigation plan completed, and then irrigation details. And then we have the planting plan completed based on the preliminary approval. And the next sheet will be the planting details. So I'd be glad to answer any questions you guys have. But with this, I would conclude my presentation.
I went through your landscape plans, and they're pretty complete, and they're fine. I just had a couple comments for you. The runtime that you put in your notes of 5 to 9 p.m., I would reverse that from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., given the wind, especially for the area where you have a spray system. It's probably just a typo. And in your backflow detail, I would encourage you to include a cage and a thermal blanket on it. I don't know about where you are in Santa Barbara, but up here, we have a lot of theft of backflows.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Put the cage on there, save yourself the long-term money, and a thermal blanket, because you could have a potential for freeze up there.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just real quick for Kevin, do those usually come colored, like colored green, the cage and the blanket?
Yeah, they come. You can get them painted green or stainless steel,
Okay.
either one. But a lot of people use the green ones if they're in landscape to help it disappear. But either one of them will be fine. That's your choice. It's just a suggestion. It's not, I'm not making it a requirement for you.
Okay.
I have a question about the murals. Could we see those larger, please?
I guess the next sheet is the one.
Look
Hmm.
like what we saw before. The colors were brighter with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that was all just stock imagery.
I'm
So
sorry?
it was all stock imagery.
No, the one that we saw that had these trees on it. It seemed to me 10 minutes ago, it looked brighter.
Yes, yeah, I concur.
There you go.
There you go.
Just a comment. I mean, my first impression when I looked at this was, are kids going to see that as scary? Those trees look a little kind of haunted to me. I mean, it may just be my taste. I don't know, but I think it might be an interesting thing prior to making a final decision on this to maybe have a couple of kids just look at it. I mean, they're going to be walking in and out of there every day, and unless they're going to have an explanation as to what these mean, and they may have significance, they may be very well thought out. I don't know what the story is about them, but right now I look at them and they're kind of gangly. They look like a tree octopus, if it makes sense. And one side, I don't see how it relates to the other. Those are just my personal comments. I mean, usually an art project that is affixed to the entry of a building is going to have some review of an input from other than executive committee, for instance, like the opinion of the people who are going to be walking in and out. That's my suggestion.
Any other comments? Okay, I'd like to open it up to, go ahead, Jim.
On the elevation there, I don't know what material you're using. It says drywall. Is that what you're supposed to, is that what you're using? Where it says Head Start? Hello?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's actually stucco finish.
It's supposed to be stucco and not drywall. It's listed as drywall on all your details and that stuff. So you need to clean that up. Also, I'm not going to require that you do this, but you need to really look at the top of the column and how it intersects those beams, because you're going to end up with water and you're going to end up with rot. So you need to address that in some thought out details. That you've got a parapet wall that's sticking up 1.5 feet right there in that. And I don't know how thick it is, but I think it's going to read as a single wall. You need to beef up the corner of the parapet so that it reads from some like 12 to 24 inches thick, so that it's more like a stucco-y kind of a heavy feel. And that's about it.
Excuse me, do you mean the parapet well behind the gabled structure?
Yes, on that drawing, it's over on the right side. It kind of shows it's about 1.5 feet higher. The up area in the middle, where you're gonna see the edge of it. You don't want to just have a little wall sticking up.
Oh, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Make it look at least as thick as your columns, which are gonna be like 14 inches or something. And is the base color, is it just color? The darker color on the bottom, or is there a relief on it?
There is a relief, so it's both a relief and a change of color.
Okay, and it stops behind the column.
That is right. Yes, I said as we go into the mural.
You know what you should probably do in that case is draw your mural, and not show the columns in front, but how the wall looks. Because you're gonna want to know how to start and stop the mural, and if there needs to be another kind of element in there to frame it and all that sort of thing. So I do that. And then your beams, you've got exposed trusses underneath there too. So when you draw that, include that in your drawing just so that you'll see the whole space when you're working out the mural. It's not something that I would require for submittal, but you need to do that to work on your mural.
Okay, and I do have a question, for the purpose of this board, how would we satisfy the not scariness of the mural?
I'm not sure what the question is.
Well, the comment was about, discussing this mural with kids, so because it might be scary. And I understand the comment. I clearly do. My question is, how would we satisfy before this board that this has been, deemed not scary by kids? I don't know how to approach this. Do we survey this, or how do you suggest we do this?
I'll take that.
It's a very subjective thing, but
It is.
you can see faces kind of looking out through holes in trees and stuff, and art, it's not an objective science.
Mhm.
So it just has to be, that's the impression that I kind of agree with that it's a little bit scary.
The original plan that you had I guess you kind of grabbed the images. It was really friendly. It was humorous and welcoming. And this, I can see that there is an almost ethnographic element to this, trying to stay in a tradition. I'm just not sure that that's the right thing that you want to see kids. It hit me right away when I saw it. And I'm not easily scared, but it was like faces peeping out that looked like a heart. It is a heart, but it looked like a heart. And then maybe softening with more leaves or something of that nature. The artist can figure that out. Yeah, exactly.
Well, more to your comment, Pablo, is that we want a mural that you have depicted in all of their presentations, regardless of what it ends up being. That's between you, the clients, and the artist.
Absolutely.
You've presented us with a mural space. We expect a mural space. What you guys put on it is going to be totally up to you. Art is objective, so you just make sure that their kids are smiling as they go in and they're smiling as they come out.
Right. Softer, more friendly. Welcoming.
Teachers might help. First kindergarten, first grade teachers, they see kids scared all the time.
Yep.
Okay. Great ideas. Thank you so much.
And just by the way, thank you for always listening to the comments and being open to them. We appreciate that.
Okay. So let me open up this item to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or anyone online that would like to speak to this particular item?
We do not have anyone in the audience or online, so we do not have any public comment.
Okay, so with that said, you guys are agendized for final review.
You're supposed to see some architectural details around the windows too.
We do have architectural details. We presented those the last time. I think you can see those starting in sheet 19. We have wall types and what have you. starting at page 18, 19 is, wall details, parapet details.
Okay, well, I was thinking more along the lines of the trim around the windows, around the doors, how you've shown tile around the door, the details for that. I believe that was lacking from your previous submittal. I know you had the wall sections, which are the actual plan construction for the walls. I was thinking more along the details of the windows and doors, how the tile, but maybe you've included those now too. Maybe I missed it.
Can you direct us to those details if you have them?
I don't think we have the specific the tile detail. We do have the baseboard detail, for example, that we do have. We have connection of canopy beams to columns details. That's on page A403. The column details that were requested. The comments that we received on a couple of meetings ago, we poured all those in. Are we missing some details? Yes, we are. We're still not in building. Yeah.
I'll withdraw my question. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
How far along are you on the construction side and the building permits submittal process?
We have not started that one. I think there's a funding situation here where planning is kind of required to get funded for the remaining of the process, and to that effect, Frank can talk more about that.
But I have another. When I talked, but we go back to that last drawing, yeah, that one. When I was talking about the top of the column to the beam detail, detail 9, for instance, shows a structural connection, but it doesn't show. You're going to end up with these little water pockets. What I'm really asking about before was something like that, but address how the stucco works and how the flashing works and how you're going to make sure that it doesn't end up with a puddle. So it's just something that you really need to flesh out, or that's a gigantic beam.
The flashing detail, you mean?
Flashing and how you're going to trim the top of the stucco, against whether you're going to put something up there, how it's going to work. Because right now, when you add stucco to it, you're going to end up with a pocket that's about 1 inch deep where the beam goes across, and you just don't want to do that. That's all.
Yeah, if you can just combine details 9 and 2.
Oh, I see. Yes, because it was left off. The
beam, yeah, the beam is.
Good spot.
I did have one more comment I didn't put in my notes. In the playground area underneath the surfacing, the 5R, you guys included a drainage system. Please don't budget that out. I've seen multiple places where that's been cut out and the stuff ends up rotting. So please leave that in. Okay.
Okay.
Does the board have any other comments?
No.
Okay. And we don't have any public comment at this time. Okay. As you guys are agendized for final review, final approval, I have to say that the project has come a long way. From when we first saw it. I applaud you guys for doing the work that you've done on it and the suggestions and comments you've acquiesced to. With that said, I'll ask for a motion to grant final approval on this project.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Off you go.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I want to see it when it's done.
I'll see it every day.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on now to BR number 2300186, the Murray Farms Personal Storage in Orchid. If the applicant is available, please go and introduce yourself for the record and begin your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to
Morning.
be back. Francis Romero for the applicant, but today we have the man behind the magic, Locke Soderquist, our architect. So it's pretty much going to be his show, and I'll be here to cheer him on and provide support as needed.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having us today, and thanks for making the time. That's an amazing painting. I've been looking at it all morning. It's awesome. My name is Locke Soderquist. I'm with LSA Architects, and we are here to further conceptual review the Mitri self-storage project. It's a new personal self-storage facility on a 6.93 acre parcel at 5175 South Bradley Road in Orchid. You guys have looked at the project before, but it's been a while, so I'm going to recap all the details. The project consists of 3 two-story buildings. Building A at the top is 9,240 square feet. Building B is 38,099 square feet. Building C is 55,398 square feet, with a total floor area of approximately 102,700 square feet. The project consists of a new monument sign, front setback fencing with walls exceeding 6 feet on the interior side, the project development side. There's no existing structures currently on the site. At the August 29 meeting, the board was generally supportive of the design and provided several specific comments. Today, I will briefly describe the project and then address each comment directly. So a brief project overview. The site slopes downward from north to south towards Orchid Creek. The buildings are stepped down to follow the natural grade. There's driveways in between the buildings that access the top and lower level, depending on whether it's the upper or lower building. The tiered configuration reduces perceived mass and follows the existing topography. The grading plan maintains the previously appreciated stepped approach and contouring along the creek edge, minimizing visual bulk and integrating the project into the slope. Architecturally, the buildings utilize articulated facades, clear story windows, and material variation to reduce scale and provide some depth. The roof form is a low-pitch standing seam metal roof, or corrugated metal roof maybe, with stepped gable ends that break up the Bradley Road elevations. And there will be no rooftop HVAC equipment, keeping the roof planes clean and uninterrupted. The previous NBAR comments, we had a few of them. You guys requested street level renderings. So we provided some street level renderings, views from Bradley Road and views from the creeks, the development that's opposite of the creek. We included this monument sign package as part of the submittal. We have landscaping at the frontage. We have the stepped building massing and the relationship of the buildings to the public right of way. Another comment was studying the large roof planes. The board requested further study of the large roof expanses. In response, the roof has been articulated on the gable ends. And this is actually something that was in the previous submittal. So the gable ends that face Bradley Road are articulated. As far as the large roof planes themselves, the roofs, as you can see in the bottom rendering, kind of terrace up to follow grade. And we were looking carefully at that, but we felt like any over-articulation of those roofs would draw more attention to them. Right now, they kind of just flow up the hill and blend with the hillside. There was another comment related to dark sky compliance, and all the proposed site and building lighting is fully shielded and downward directed. And all selected fixtures will be dark sky compliant. There was another comment regarding the grading and step contouring, and we've maintained that. The overall design approach from the beginning was to like create these shapes that followed the contours of the site. And then we were sinking the buildings down into the site as far as we could to shield them from view on Bradley Road. And at the same time, keeping like maximum driveway slopes to something that was manageable. There was another comment related to roof-mounted equipment. And so we don't plan to mount any HVAC equipment or anything on the roofs. And then there was a concern about on-site circulation. We took a close look at all the inside turning radiuses and the driveway widths, and they've been evaluated to accommodate passenger vehicles, moving trucks, occasional delivery vehicles, fire truck access. The ingress and egress along Bradley Road is clearly defined. And the internal driveway aisles provide adequate turning radius, minimizing excessive paving. And then the view from across the creek, we studied the views from the west of Orchid Creek, the south and west of Orchid Creek, where map trails and residential areas may provide public vantage points. And we, as I previously mentioned, we stepped the buildings to follow the contours of the site, sunk it down as deep as we could. And then we have landscape buffering and some facade articulation to make those elevations more interesting. And in the last meeting, there was general support for the project. So we appreciate the board's prior supportive comments and have worked to refine the design while maintaining the architectural functionality of the project. There was one comment about window details on sheet A302. And I included in the color board an image of what the windows will ultimately look like. And that's shown on sheet A301 and 302.
Under which plan set?
It's this plan set. Oh, I'm sorry, not this one. It's similar to this one, but it would be the architectural plan set. Yeah.
Just scroll.
Yeah, there you go. So the bottom right image is like an inspirational image for our windows. So we'd use dark aluminum frames. The windows would be obscured to prevent people from viewing into the storage facility. And the colors would complement each other. The siding color would complement the window frame, designed to look like clear story windows in an ag storage building, for instance. And the monument sign is a separate submittal. It was just shown there, but this is a 6 foot by 3 foot tall sign face, painted aluminum panels, cut acrylic block lettering, board form concrete base. And the lighting for that sign would be dark sky compliant. The sign is relatively modest in scale, and there'd be landscaping around the perimeter of the sign. In summary, the massing has been articulated while still maintaining the functionality of the project. It follows the slope of the hillside. The gable ends visible along Bradley Road are articulated with step-down segments and clear story windows. There's no rooftop mechanical equipment. The lighting proposed is dark sky compliant, and the grading follows the natural contours of the site. The views across the creek were considered, and we request the board's continuous consideration of the project, and I can answer any questions that you guys have. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I just have a couple of things to add for context. At our original meeting, the driveway was in a slightly different location. It has been relocated based on requests and requirements from Public Works Transportation. And again, as Locke said, the sign plan is a new submittal along with a CUP for the fencing, because our wall and fencing along Bradley in the right-of-way area is exceeding 6 feet in height. But as you can see when we look at, oh, that's a different, can we go back to the visual sim? What you'll see on that second view is that the retaining wall is below grade when viewed from Bradley. So what you see is a 6 foot tall fence But because of the regulations regarding the front setback, having a wall and block combination that exceeds 6 feet, that's what triggered the need for the minor CUP. So I think that's all I have to add that has changed or triggered changes from the last time we were in front of you.
Well, Francis, wasn't there some question initially about the water retention basin or the infiltration basin down below and its adjacency to the creek? Or
We're addressing that with a text revision. We're already doing a general plan amendment, and based on the fact that the county policies allow those type of public infrastructures, we're basically adding the word private infrastructure, because really, what is the difference between a publicly built basin and a private? I mean, except maybe the private, there's just no difference, and the water flows downhill. So it's kind of like it's going to go into the creek anyway. And yeah, just kind of more of a pragmatic approach.
My question was basically that you have continued consideration on that issue and working to resolve it, so.
Yeah, and staff is supportive of us submitting the additional text amendment to allow private and flood control as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm trying to understand the grading concept a little bit. You got 10-foot plates, each
Mhm.
building drops 10 feet.
Correct.
The right side or the north wall, is that pretty level?
Well, the driveways actually happen.
Not the driveway, but the property line, is it level?
The property line maintains existing grade. So
Is the existing grade pretty level across does it slope from one?
it all slopes, yeah. All the existing
slopes
grade
towards
slopes
the
down.
creek.
Yeah, towards the
But
creek, yeah.
does it slope north to south on our lines?
Oh,
Does it go downhill or is it level?
yeah, let's look at the grading plan. I think it varies. Like in some places it slopes down towards the site, other places it slopes up a little bit.
Because your building, because the way you got your buildings done, it drops 20 feet from one end to the other. So,
Correct.
so it's not really following the contours if it's level, right?
Well, the building, so basically the way that we designed it, we're maintaining, like from Bradley Road, we're maintaining existing grade, like
Yeah.
at the public right of way at the property line. We have a wall with a security fence on top of it. And then inside we have driveways that make that transition, the 10-foot transition between buildings. And so when I say follow contours, the contours are kind of that boomerang shape. We designed our buildings in that same shape. And you can see how we
I see that
project
like
it
your
out.
Building C follows the contours, but the driveway on the right side is significantly lower than the property on to the right,
Correct.
like 20 feet.
Yeah.
So you got a 20-foot retaining wall?
I don't think we have 2 retaining walls there, and I don't think you could look at the max height of those if we were able to zoom in on that area. The top and bottom of wall elevations are described there. I think it's 14 feet total. And so like what we're trying to accomplish there is just sink the buildings into the site as far as we can to limit like the visuals from the outside. And
Where does
then
the
at
retaining wall start? Is that the green? Is that the retaining wall?
yeah, there's 2 of them. So the green one, and then on the inside there's an orange one.
And if you go to the left, we can see the legend to see what the.
So are the,
Oh, I see. Each one is individually. Okay, so the green.
Like we
go
probably
back-
should
go-
look at the
go back
grading
over to the
plan.
Right, I don't want to look at the retaining wall. I want to look at the grades, yeah. So how does it up in that upper right-hand corner? What are the grades you've done a lot of grading there.
We have, we've sunken the buildings into the site. And so there is that's a location where there's only, 10 feet from the property line to the driveway, or maybe it's 12, I don't know the exact dimension, but because of that, we have like a substantial elevation change at that location. And we've accommodated that with a terraced retaining wall system. But there's actually a better way to look at this. We look at the grading plan, we can see the actual like spot elevations right there.
Do you have a grading section through there?
There is a grading section through there. Yeah, it's
Well,
right there.
there's your stepped walls.
Yeah.
I like stepped walls.
Yeah, so you can see the typical section is A over on the left-hand side. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that corresponds with that location. So it's like lower left, if you're able to scroll up on the sheet, lower left side. Yeah, there we go. So that would be the section that describes that location.
No, I mean showing the buildings, the existing lot, the existing grade, the future grade.
We do,
kind
yeah,
of-
we have that one too. That's in the architectural set. So if we are able to scroll up, there's a section sheet that shows overall site sections. Yeah, keep going. Right there, up one. And so if you could zoom in on the top, that is that's like natural grade versus
But we-
the building location.
And it depends on where that's cut, because the farther you go to the top of your sheet, which would be the
Yeah.
It changes the existing slope radically changes.
Yeah, you're right. So if you can see like the two different elevations, I mean, the natural slope runs through on the upper one, you can see the lower dotted line that's curved is the existing slope. And then down below, it raises a little bit depending on where it's cut on site. But the site plan shows those two cut locations. And so you can kind of see like, evaluate both those locations as they relate to those sections. And then that would be the view along Bradley Road.
Where do you have your stepped retaining walls? How much depth, how much width are you putting in there? Is it?
Like the size of the footing or just?
No, from one retaining wall to the other, do you have significant, is it 10 feet, 20 feet, 50 feet?
Yeah, there's, so the building, you're talking about the total building width, like you can see the distance between those retaining walls, like they're.
I mean, on your grading plan, where you have the 14-foot cut.
Yeah.
It's 14 foot over how many feet?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So if we go up there and take it, or let's like scroll up to back to that grading plan sheet that showed those sections. There should be a dimension on the site plan or the grading plan that shows that.
I want it to look as natural as possible, but I'm not visualizing exactly how big a scar you're putting in and how it's going to blend in with the existing creek.
Yeah. So all of that. Oh, go ahead.
Well, if I could for just a moment, the Orchid Community Plan dictated the location of the driveway at the northernmost corner of the site. It also dictates that the 3-acre envelope is what we're allowed to develop based on the approval of the Orchid Community Plan. So the Orchid Community Plan envisioned the 3-acre area where the buildings and driveway are located as being the area of development. So I don't know if that helps any, but we didn't go, the only time we went beyond that 3 acres was to fill the slope so it would be a natural appearance without having the 14-foot retaining wall system shown from the southern view. So it's a tricky site, which is why it's 2026 and it still hasn't been developed with the Orchid Community Plan being approved in 1997. So
I know what the spot you're talking about though specifically. Thanks, Francis. Sorry. So you're talking about where we cut that section. And I think the site plan, which would be like the next sheet up or the next 2 sheets up, will show an actual dimension there. I'm sorry, down the other direction. Oh, that's the top. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there we go.
Is this one good?
Yeah, that's good. Oh my God, we can just kind of scroll to the right. So we have 19 foot 3 inches from the property line to the driveway. And so both of those retaining walls are dealt with in that 19 foot 3 inch setback. And those are in the site plan, they're shown as the dark, like hidden lines.
And then downhill from building C, is that cut or is it fill beyond your?
Yeah,
fence line?
beyond building C. So on site, it's cut, and then the site was altered to, like, we took some of the cut from this area and put that around the backside of that lowest retaining wall to reduce the size of that retaining wall as it relates to the Orchid Creek view and just, the view from that direction in general. So I think the retaining wall was probably like 10 feet tall. And then we're backfilling, we're taking some of the material there and grading that out to reduce the height of that wall. And we're trying to do that like in an organic way that follows the natural contours as best as possible. And it's planted with like native plantings.
And I don't remember from, but what the retaining wall heights were on your little double cut thing. Are they 7 feet apiece or
I
something?
think, you know, like all those civil sections, they always do like a vertical scale and horizontal scale that don't match. So I think if we go to their like grading plan again and look, there should be spot elevations that show like top of wall, bottom of wall. And I don't know them off the top of my head, but we can probably like get them right
Oh, and
here.
yeah, I just mean what's the visual?
But just to like, so from the inside of the development, that's where you're going to have that impact in those two walls. From the outside, we're trying to maintain natural grade so that you don't really see, you know, any transition on the
So
outside.
building C is going to be lower than the existing grade currently.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, they all are. And then, but the far end of building C, like, you know, going the south side where that parallel parking is, that'll be elevated a little bit above natural grade.
And did you have to deal with hillside ridgeline rules at all?
We did, yeah. So we have,
That's why it's down.
That's why it's down, yeah. So you can see if like back in those building sections that you were looking at or architectural site sections, we had that max height limitation that was plotted there and we're well below that. But yeah, let me see. I would have to get up there closer to see what the elevation sheets are. Make it a little bigger. So she has height equals 2 points.
Yeah,
Okay, so that upper wall.
and then go over to the right side. There we go.
Okay, yeah. So the upper wall. The lower wall.
If someone's speaking, can they speak into the mic?
Can you take it with you? I could just make it larger.
Okay, well, I was just looking at it. So it looks like the lower, oh, yeah, perfect. So it looks like the lower wall is 2.55 feet or 2.5 feet max height, and then the upper wall has a max height of 7 feet. So
Oh, so then the rest of it's made up with slope.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's actually not that much slope there because it's so tight. So it's basically just two walls that are terraced at that height with a slope area between them that's sloping the other direction, like downhill. And then that would all be landscaped too. So it's not as high as I thought. It's actually like 10 feet max height total, both walls combined.
Okay, now I kind of understand what's going on. I like what you did with the end of the buildings. The thing I have a problem with is you've got a 20-foot face on that bottom one. Well, what kind of fencing is going around it?
We're proposing like vertical iron fencing, like that's
But you can see through it.
you can see through it, yeah. But it's going to be shielded with landscape. So there'll be like our landscape plan, we have pretty like dense.
The problem I have is that lower one. The ones in the middle, I don't care about, but the ones on the edge, you've got a 20-foot high wall. You broke it up with two materials, which is cool. But it would be nice if it had some kind of a roof element that went around on that element, on that side to get to have it perceive as being even lower than it is.
So you're talking about the building wall itself?
Building wall, yeah.
Okay, those gable ends that face Bradley Road?
Not the long boomerang side,
Okay,
the one that's, because it's a 20-foot high, it's a 20-foot high face.
yeah.
And it's gonna look ginormous.
It's big, but it's, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like almost the catch-22. I mean, we're wanting to, like basically our inspiration for this was like historical, like I hate the word agrarian because everybody uses that all the time, but like it was like agricultural storage buildings, you know,
There's
large
a
building.
giant right here, I think.
Yeah, they are big, but you have buildings that are large. The form kind of follows the function, right? So we have buildings that are simple, large, economical, efficient, and we're placing clear story windows in a configuration that gives him like this historical articulation. And then the siding materials help do that as well. And so I just fear that if we plant like gable ends or something on there to further articulate
Not
it, just
gable end,
drives
but
more.
like a shed, a roof that ran around so that it looked like another layer coming down.
Okay, yeah, I get that. So eyebrow at the lower level that,
Yeah, just on that back one, and it might be cool. I was trying to look at your vehicle stuff. I don't know. It would still be 10 feet high. You know,
yeah.
you can't bring a semi down there, but why would you?
That's actually not a bad idea. I do like that idea.
Because it would lower the whole thing and give you a whole nother layer of stuff.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be continuous. There could be sections of lower shed roofs that are in a like a
And it
pattern.
would kind of break up the monotony of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm getting a little lost. Are we talking about the ends to the north that are facing north?
He's talking about
Talking
the
about
south
the-
wall building C.
The south wall.
The cutting edge of the boomerang.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. We could do that.
Okay.
Can we go back to the elevations, the 3 elevations once more? The articulated ones, rendered. Yep, yep. These, I'm kind of jumping out of my skin over here because I see opportunity with just tweaking. This has such a mid-century vibe to it.
Okay, yeah.
Much less so than barn storage. I mean, this could almost slip over with just a couple of minor changes into something really elegant. And I don't mean fussy elegant, I mean elegant, design-wise elegant.
Okay.
Primarily an offset pitch roof
Mm-hmm.
where it wasn't a straight on pitch, but it was offset, sloping more on one side.
Okay.
Secondly, the fencing, instead of it being vertical with everything else jumping up so much, the fencing would be horizontal, same material would be horizontal. And then if I look at these in terms of number 1, number 2, and number 3, which are the most attractive? How would I rate them? Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Most attractive, next attractive, least attractive. I think the weak point here for me, design-wise, is the entrance.
Okay.
It's not as welcoming and as integrated into the vibe of the spot. I mean, this is a very prominent spot here. I mean, it has the potential for people to drive by and go like, I mean, see it as something artful instead of something just utilitarian. And it's just with some minor tweaking. Like, for instance, the sign. The sign's kind of pedestrian in light of the architectural and creative elements of the way you're stacking these down the hill, which is artful. But the idea of just sliding over the roof line a little bit, changing the horizontal nature of the fence to keep everything looking low profile. And I think the sign would come from that, that it would be more lengthened.
Yeah, I can
and
see
more
that.
low.
Yeah.
I just think I've always loved this project, and I think you're just like so close.
So close, yeah. Yeah, I do like the asymmetrical roofs. I've seen that quite a bit lately. And that is something that could be integrated, fairly easily and still keep all the things we like about this, but make a minor adjustment to
just
create this like theme that we can carry through to the signage and to the main entry. Let's see, the fence is a bit of a problem just because it is like sloping all over the place, going downhill. So if you go with a horizontal configuration, it gets complicated because you're trying to make transitions vertically that don't always line up with those horizontal elements. So there could be something done there, but the fence, I mean, from our perspective, the fence, we kind of just want it to be high quality, but go away and let the landscaping kind of take over.
The fence you're proposing is like a Maristar type of.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big fence, so we got to do something that's economical,
Yeah, those are pretty.
but something that's gonna, last and be secure. But I do like both of those ideas. I like the shed roof idea. I think that would be something we could implement fairly easily. And then potential asymmetrical roof gable ends, that's not a bad idea. That would be pretty cool. We can incorporate that at the entry as well. And then maybe the signage has a similar asymmetrical roof, or just little profile.
It can be anything from Southeast California to Arizona in a way. And I'm thinking along the side of the entry to use some monumental rock. I mean, they can be synthetic, but something that actually further modulates the visual impact of the scale. So when you drive up, you're actually arriving someplace.
Okay, you're talking at the main entrance. Okay, yeah. I think we were proposing some block, I think in our I don't know about, yeah, so I think we had like some, I forget what that block's called, but the block that's broken, has broken faces. Split face block, yeah, so that's something that we can, yeah, that would tie into what you're talking
Something more
about.
organic.
Yeah, and a little more prominent potentially, yeah, yeah,
Even bermed up.
yeah. You're talking the sign now.
I'm talking about what the sign is on.
Okay.
The side of the roadway going in so that it was somehow articulated in a little more artful way, giving some modulation to the surface there.
Yeah.
And then you drive into that flat surface and it kind of means something then.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. That's a good idea. Elevate it, kind of a mound that's planted with some grasses or whatever.
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah. I like that idea. So
I have a question about that, Francis. How's it working out with the entrance onto the main street? Can you go either way? Is there any restrictions about traffic flow, just briefly?
No.
Okay.
Unless Public Works Roads comes up with something that surprises us, no.
It's gonna be
No, don't put it out there to the universe.
He already did that.
Is this building right next door to it's not next door to the Starbucks?
No.
Starbucks, it is?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Well, it's up the hill a little bit.
Medical building.
And then the Starbucks in front.
On the corner.
Yeah.
It's the medical building then? Okay.
yeah, I think there's an
And
aerial
They have an entrance there too, someplace, right?
opposite. Oh, up further. Yeah.
Toward Starbucks is the entrance.
Yeah, you go behind.
I think our entrance point was determined by this board, or was it a
Public Works.
Public Works? Okay. So yeah, our entrance point was very specific. They wanted it opposite the shopping center across the street.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So we actually moved it to place it at that location. We had it further downhill previously.
We go to the landscape plan. Just gonna ask that.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like. Are you gonna do nothing between the fence and the roadway? Are you just gonna maintain what's there?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I feel like the transition from like natural, like grass to our landscape will be a nice, I feel like that's a nice transition. Like we're trying to landscape all the way to the curb. I feel like it gets a little overdone. I like to have that border of like grass and then transition to like more of a like manicured landscape. So we're planning just to leave it the way it is.
Okay.
Is there a reason that you just held the landscape at the top of the slope?
On the right side?
Well, the graded slope.
Yeah, we wanted the graded slope to be planted with like natural, like a natural grass, wildflower mixture, so that it doesn't appear to be like expanding the project. Like the idea is just most of the site is just left like naturally planted, and then we have, the perimeter shrubs are more for like screening the project from the rest of the site and from Bradley Road. So we felt like it was better not to like landscape all the way down the hill, just plant that with native grasses and native wildflowers, and then start our landscaping right at the perimeter of the project.
Okay. Looking at it from the visual sim and then the elevations and then this, they're all three different. Okay. I think your screening's really lacking. Okay. Especially from the trail that'll be down along the creek.
Okay.
Looking up, and Francis will understand this. Maybe you can become a receiver site for some trees.
Okay.
For some mitigation oak trees. You got to talk to the planning department about that. But
fabulous.
Yeah.
But that would give you a more naturalistic edge.
Okay.
Great.
And sort of, I'm not telling you to landscape the entire slope,
Yeah.
but you got a great opportunity to create some wildlife habitat and screen your building from people that are walking on the trail.
Okay. Yeah, I think our perspective initially was just to minimize the impact on the site, the visual impact on the site. But I understand where you're coming from. Maybe we can look at those renderings again if you're able to flip to that.
If you look at the elevations, you had trees all the way across. And then the visual sim, you've got a few trees down here at the end.
Mhm.
And I understand you need to show the building and all that.
Yeah.
So I assumed that was what was going on here. But I think you have a really good opportunity to create a more naturalistic edge there.
Mhm. I agree.
And screen that out.
I think that's something that we can easily do. So,
Okay.
I mean, like I said, our original intent was just to hold the development perimeters as tight to the proposed project as possible. But, you know, if we want to like project down with a little bit of landscaping and make a smoother transition, I totally agree with that.
And that's the current aerial, so you can see that the neighbors to the south already have a pretty robust perimeter of trees that are going to obscure their view of anything. So the view sim was taken from the position of where the public trail might one day be located.
And we really tried to, I mean, the guys that do the rendering consultants, I mean, they just I mean, we had a forest and then I had them scale it back and
I
it's
understand.
still a forest. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I'm
okay,
just
like
pointing it out.
let's let our landscape architect look at this. And
You know, and
Yeah.
El Bianca, not to get mad at me, but it looks really regimented along
yeah,
that edge.
no, I understand where you're coming from.
That's kind of the whole idea of the roof offset is the landscape a little less structured. I
Yeah.
think that's absolutely right.
Yeah, I think in plan, like it looks structured, but the intent, I think, is to be more like an organic arrangement, like a looser arrangement that.
Your signage, by the way, when
Mhm.
you get into the final typeface and even the way the sign is done, you could justify it to the left side a little bit,
Mhm.
and it would and stretch it out just a little bit, and it would look much more in keeping with the low slung look of the buildings.
Yeah, well, I will definitely, I mean, there's so many examples of signage out there. I'll just start doing the research again and
And
figure
I was
out.
just looking just on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Mid-century signage, and it's all over the place.
Yeah.
From Neutra to Frank Lloyd Wright, you name it. I mean, it's just, and it's horizontal and stretched out.
Yeah,
From your renderings of the sign, you know, what is it better to have it perpendicular to the street or parallel to the street? It's parallel to it now, which you won't
Yeah.
see it. If you turn it the other way, it might be right.
that's another good point. We, you know, I think right away you visualize like a perpendicular to the approach, but you know, it's something we can talk to the client about, see if he wants to rotate it.
This is one of the fun ones. You know?
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
always.
it can all be fun. I mean, it's architecture and landscape architecture and.
Thank you.
So I think today, what would be the next step? We're going to there's another preliminary hearing after this one, like we would have an opportunity to make minor change, or is the next step a more formal?
The
Like,
next step is more formal. These are all
Okay.
basically just suggestions.
okay.
No decisions will be made on it.
Mhm.
We are just giving you the opportunity to hear us out and then come back with your formal
Mhm.
application, at which time we would, you know, we'd go through the preliminary review
Okay.
of everything. So,
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, I love all these ideas. I want to get started, but I also do want to make progress through this, you know, process. So if the next one, we can come to the next one with these ideas, that would be great.
yeah, because I don't see the point to having more conceptual review on this.
No.
Yeah.
Chair?
You would go right into the application.
I think maybe there was some miscommunication or confusion. I always thought we did conceptual and like you're saying preliminary, and then we come back for final after approval. I was recently told that we don't come back for preliminary final until after approval. Could you clarify the steps? I've heard it both ways.
I can weigh in on that. So the way that the code is written, you wouldn't come back for an appealable decision, a preliminary approval, until after the decision maker acts. And so that is probably why the planner conveyed that information. You know, so when we have these projects that are discretionary and are going to require approval by planning commission, and in this case, the board as well. While it is true that you wouldn't come back until preliminary and final approval to the BAR. Often the BAR's request is that the conceptual review, is at a point where they would grant preliminary approval so that these issues are worked out and what's presented to the discretionary decision makers is reflective of what would actually get built. So that's just something for the board to consider. I'm not sure, Aaliyah, do you have anything to add there?
No, I think that was summed up perfectly.
Well, I guess my concern is that if you defer preliminary final until after project approval, it's a little late at that point where,
Is we'll go through the preliminary review process.
okay,
Once that is granted, then you're on your way back to the decision makers with a plan that you're going to be able to work with,
okay.
right?
Yeah, I mean, because what I was hearing a lot of was you're coming back for preliminary final after approval. And to me, that's too late. But if we're coming back
You're
with
just coming
preliminary,
only.
okay,
And then once we go through that, decision makers have made their decision, then you'll come back with the construction drawings basically for final.
okay. And that's how I've always understood the process. So I think it might have just been some semantics that was confusing me on that. We have just recently resubmitted to for consistency review. The project is complete, and we just submitted this full package for review for consistency and environmental review. So I guess it would behoove us to get whatever replacement sheets in as soon as possible so that we don't end up going through more delays. So
I mean, I'll follow your lead on that.
yeah, so we might want to, I guess the next meeting is the fourth Friday in March. We probably need to plan on being back here at that point so that we are keeping our project plans updated and we can go as quickly as possible because we want to get to a hearing as soon as possible.
Well, I would think that you'd want to talk to Rhodes and make sure they're cool with everything. Public Works is, had a chance to look at it and they, where the driveway is correct and all that stuff before you come back to us with.
We won't see you till April then.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, because there are so many departments that have to weigh on this brand new project. So you'll want to have those discussions before you come back to us and then we start to do that preliminary review process.
Sadly.
Can I just, a point of clarification? We can schedule the project to come back and, the applicant can develop things to a preliminary review level, but the board cannot grant preliminary approval before discretionary decision maker. So, yeah, okay. All right. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page there. Thank you.
Yeah, because we're going to want to give them something that they're going to be able to approve, right?
Yeah.
This is the planner. So can I just ask a quick question to clarify? So if we agendize this again, if we can't grant preliminary approval before decision maker action, so we're agendizing it again for further conceptual?
Well, we could agendize this for preliminary review.
Okay.
Because I think we're at a point now where as a board, we're pretty happy with what has been presented. There are some tweaks or suggestions that they want to look at, but as far as the process is concerned, we'll agendize them for preliminary review. But we can't grant, but at least we'll get a shot to look at it. And then they can take that package to the decision makers.
It's kind of a conceptual preliminary review.
Well, now we get to say stuff and you guys have to adhere.
True. But we would rather be closer to the mark before we hear your preliminary final comments.
Yeah, because the decision makers would have to weigh in on their stuff too.
Okay.
So just so I'm clear, we can take this same package to planning and public works and the decision makers, or do we need to revise prior to?
We need to revise.
Okay. And then you guys will look at it later after we have their review. Okay.
Yeah, because if they're going to make you satisfied then before you come back to us.
Sure, got it.
Well, and just, there used to be a time where when your project was deemed complete for processing, then the consistency review started along with, environmental document preparation. But the newer process is that you get deemed complete, and then there is another period where additional information can be requested for consistency review purposes. So that's a change based on all of the state law changes relative to mandated timeframes for reviewing projects. But unfortunately, those timelines that relate to housing projects are now applied to every project. So every project has this kind of, once you were deemed complete, you were done. It was pencils down, but it's not that way anymore because now additional information can be requested during the consistency review phase. So it just makes it a little more, a lot less certain, I guess, for applicants.
Okay.
Everybody.
Right. Well, we really appreciate your thoughtful comments and things that are tweaks that, from what our architect says, are relatively easy. We'll take this back to the project owner and work on something that is going to be acceptable for preliminary conceptual head nodding so that we know we're on the right path to when we can come back after an approval.
Okay.
How's that?
Sounds good.
Great, thank you. Pleasure meeting you guys.
Have a good weekend.
All right. Yeah,
Thank
too.
you.
Okay.
And thank you to the extraordinary woman who has done a great workout on going back and forth between all of the plans.
Okay.
Thank you, Teresa.
With item number 4 being off the table, I'll ask for a motion to close today's meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say
Aye. Aye.
thank you.
So when are you going?
Okay.
To Hawaii?
Oh,